Hi, so who's here? If you're here, just post your name in the comment section in the live chat. You guys know how to do that? I see there are people here in the top of the screen. Yeah. Let's see how this interaction works. Okay. I'm wondering if there's Akiva and Matty are here. I'm wondering if there's anyone else thing. Let's get going. Okay. So so any questions you have, you can send to the WhatsApp group that we have. You can send voice notes. You can also type as you want. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking this might be a good idea. It was just this way. Most people that heard about the shiur, they said they couldn't come to it live. Hence, I wanted to have a way where it's automatically recorded and online, so I can just send out a link to this when we're done. Okay, so let's begin. The question of Tzaddik V'Ralo is known to be the hardest question, so to speak. There are a lot of philosophical questions. I guess the path to deep emunah has two tracks. One, you can have emunah shuta. That is to say, this is the way I grew up. This is what I believe. This is what's going on. Hence, yeah, I'm from, I grew up from, I am from,
I know HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves me. Why do I know that? Because my mother told it to me when I was young, and that's the way I grew up. That's the way I feel about the world. And there are many people that live a good life that way. But there are many of us that have deep questions in Emunah. And that is what is called in Hashkafa, Emunah Sichlis, logical Emunah. And the path to logical Emunah is that you have to, certain people, maybe even most people, definitely intelligent people, have to justify what they do in a logical manner. It's not enough for them to say, I do this because I believe in it, and I believe because I believe. For them, possibly for us, Emunah has to be something that makes sense. And therefore, books that talk about belief in God, and I'd highly recommend Rabbi Kellerman's books, Permission to Believe, Permission to Receive, they deal with the major questions, not necessarily proving God's existence, but making you feel comfortable as a rational person believing in God. And when we talk about belief in God, that's like a massive multi-layered concept. That is to say, you can believe. What does it mean to believe in God? What does it mean to believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And I think you have to break it down into several different things. Number one, it means believing in a creator, a force that created the universe, a conscious force that created the universe. But even if you believe in that, who says that conscious force that created the universe is involved with the world? Maybe he is a creator of the multiverse, and then therefore he created this universe and another universe, and he's not interested in us. The Ramban actually goes through this list of all the different kinds of kfir you can have. But I'm actually going in the opposite direction. I'm saying all the different kinds of emunah you can have. So you can have emunah in a creator without believing the creator is involved in the world. But then you can add on to that a level of, no, not only do I believe that there is a creator, I believe he interacts with the world. Next level, I believe in the national story of the Jewish people, including the miracles, including Ma'amad Har Sinai. I say, not only do I believe in a creator, not only do I believe that creator is involved in the world, I believe that creator is involved in the world and interacted with my people, and interacted with Moshe Rabbeinu, Am Yisrael, Har Sinai. And because of that emunah, we get to a stage where you're ready to be makabel Torah. After that, you also need an emunah that the Masorah is good. Maybe you can be a Karaite, right? You can believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu as the creator. You can believe, and we can have a whole discussion about why it makes sense to believe that the rabbis are responsible for the Masorah, and they have the right to do what they do. And we can talk about that. With all of that said, there is one glaring question, one elephant in the room. They say, even if I believe in all of that, maybe God just isn't that nice. Why would I seek to have a relationship with a being? Maybe he exists. Maybe he interacted with Moshe Rabbeinu. Maybe he gave messages, what we call over to Moshe Rabbeinu and all the other Nevi'im. But a being that is so cruel, that is so over Hashem, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, uncanny, people say, I can. What's a bit funny about the question is because, you think you're like the first person to ask this question. You think you're the first person in the whole world that figured out it's really difficult to have thought of this. And I guess what I want to discuss over the coming weeks, but really to develop the ideas, to take time for the ideas to digest. We're not going to run through all the possible answers to this question in one go, because I really want time to develop the ideas and for guys to think about them, ask questions, challenge, and therefore, hopefully that's the game plan. The game plan is to go through and search through the different ways of understanding suffering, the different possible explanations, the problems with different explanations, our problems with different explanations, and hopefully as we move forward, we'll be equipped in the world both to answer others, but also just for ourselves to feel. Everyone says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us. But we say every morning in Shachris, Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose us with love. What does it even mean? And how does it translate into a world so full of suffering? And the truth is, over the last few weeks and months, this question has become all the more real in people's lives. I think, yesterday was Yom HaShoah, and I think we know there is suffering in the world, but we don't believe it till we see it. And therefore, it's easy to keep it at arm's length. But all of a sudden, when it's on your doorstep, when it's happening to people when it's in your own lives, then all of a sudden, people feel totally unequipped to deal with these situations. And so hopefully we can study together. And really the goal of this class is to get to a point where we can love HaKadosh Baruch Hu in an intellectually honest way and say, he is good, he is kind, he is loving. Because unless we can justify that even in our own minds, our avodas Hashem will be very shallow and very empty. So, without further ado, let's begin at the beginning. The quintessential person that dealt with suffering, so to speak, you could begin the defense with, maybe we'll start it this way. Tanakh is an incredible sefer, and it's unique amongst other holy books of other nations, because we have a record of everything good, bad, and ugly about our nation. Everything that happened to us, all the ups and all the downs and everything in the middle is recorded during the time. And therefore, the messages there are timeless because it has in it everything. And the problem of suffering is definitely there as well. And therefore, let's turn to Eov for our first makor, for our first source on trying to understand suffering. So if we open up Eov, Perek Aleph, what happens in Eov? Is a good man. How do we know he's good? Well, because the psukim tell us he's good. So you can say maybe all the suffering in the world is because people are evil, and you just don't know they're evil. If they're suffering, it must be because they've done something wrong. When my father is a community rabbi, and he tells over that he used to have these debates with Christians in Australia. I grew up. We were in Australia from 1989 to 1997, and either way, my father was one and only rabbi of South Australia, and he used to have these debates with Christians every so often, and there'd be a lot of apologetics for all the different things Christians had done to Jews over the years. And at one point, someone turned to my father and said, you must have done something really bad to deserve all this suffering. And my father turned around to him and said, if I slap you across the face, right here, right now, would I be justified to say, well, I'm sure you deserved it? Obviously, the priest was a bit taken aback. I said, don't worry, I'm not going to get physical. But like, who are you to get in and get involved in such a question? Who are you to even think about this? But we do think about this, and we do seek answers. And therefore, let's go back to our source in Eov and take a look there. We begin with Eov Perek Aleph. Eov Perek Aleph is the story of how Hashem brings suffering on an innocent man. Quite extreme. Let's take a look. Pasuk Chet. Vayomer Adonai al Satan. Hasamta libcha al avdi Eov. Hashem says to the Satan, did you see my servant Eov? כי אין כמוהו בארץ, איש תם וישר, ירא אלוהים, ושר מרע. He's a good person, right? He is pure and he's straight. He fears God and he removes himself from evil. ויען השטן את אדוני ויאמר, החינם ירא איוב אלוהים. Right? Is it for nothing that Eov fears Hashem? He's got such a good life. You know why he's so obedient? You know why he keeps so many mitzvahs? You know why he's this amazing servant of yours? Because you give him a good life. Let's see how he manages if you give him a bad life. Vayomer, skipping to pasuk kaf aleph. Vayomer arom yatzati mibetin imi va'arom ashuv shama. Adonai natan va'Adonai lakach yehi shem Hashem mevorach. Everything is taken away from Eov in Perek Aleph. Eov suffers greatly. His wife is killed, and his children are killed, and he loses all his money. And he's there left bereft of everything. And in that moment, he doesn't question. In that moment, he just says, Hashem has given, Hashem has taken, Hashem should be blessed. And maybe that's the Jewish approach. Maybe we go no deeper than that, than we don't understand. We don't really have a full picture, and therefore it's beyond us to understand. There is no capability of understanding. All we know is Hashem saves us. He saved us in Egypt. He saved us in the future. He saved us. We're still around today. And maybe it's beyond us. We can't understand. But the truth is, in Perek Lamed Chet of Eov does challenge Hashem. And he does say, how is this just? What's going on? How does it make sense? How does my suffering make sense at all? Right? Vayan Hashem it Eov, and Hashem answers Eov. Eov gets a nevuah answering his suffering. Vayomer, mize machshich etzah, v'limon blidat. Right? Who is this one who's thinking about all these ideas that you don't know anything? Where were you when I founded the earth? Do you understand why I do what I do? Who gives out the measurements? And who knows? Who stretches the line upon it? Who measures the world? So to speak, who are you to even challenge me? Answers Hashem to Eov. And therefore, maybe Eov is telling us that this question is unanswerable question. This question is beyond our understanding. Who are we to ask this question? Who are we to challenge the maker of heaven and earth and say he isn't just? And there is definitely place for this answer in Judaism. Let's take a digression for a second. Who was Eov? Who was this man who suffered so greatly? Who had so much emunah that in the end, we know the end of Sefer Eov, everything is returned to him, even more than he had before. He has more children, he has more money. Who is this man? So it's machloket in Masechet Bava Batra, Daf Tetvav. And the truth is, it's a machloket of at least 5 opinions. Right? Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says he was a non-Jewish man who lived in the times of Moshe Rabbeinu. By the way, there are those Mefarshim that say Eov lived in Eretz Yisrael and he was a tzaddik, and he was the reason that we couldn't go into Eretz Yisrael earlier, because there was Eov, he was a tzaddik. Okay. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar say he was a man it was a Jewish man during Galut Bavel, during the Babylonian exile. Rabbi Shua ben Karcha says he lived in the time of Esther. Acherim say, others, in the times of Yaakov. And then the Gemara has the most radical line, Yativahu mirabanan kamid Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani, v'yativ v'ka'amar, Eov lo haya v'lo nivra, ela mashal haya. Eov never existed. According to these rabbis who sat in front of Rishul bar Nachmani. And the Gemara records all 5 opinions. All right, to summarize, either he was a non-Jewish man who lives in the times of Moshe, he was a Jewish man in the time of exile of Galut Bavel, or he was at the end of the time of Esther, or he was in the times of Yaakov before Matan Torah, or it's all a mashal. And I believe it's Rabbi Sachs who says that the meaning of this machloket in the Gemara is that Eov is all of us. That is to say, he is not Jewish, and he's Jewish. And he lives in the land of Israel, and he lives in exile. And he is before the Torah is given, and he is after the Torah is given. He is every person that feels pain. He's a mashal, but a mashal that lives in all of us. Because everyone deals with suffering at some point. And the process of struggling with suffering, and the process of looking for answers, and asking why me, and how does this make sense, and what do I do with this suffering, is a process that everyone goes through. And so there are 3 ways to deal with this question of why did Eov suffer. Maybe he wasn't a tzaddik, maybe he deserved it. But we know from the Psukim that's not true. Maybe Hashem isn't all-powerful, right? Maybe there are certain things happening in the world that are beyond his control. Even if there are certain cases that wouldn't be true directly as he doesn't control, but maybe he chooses not to have control. Even if that were true, it's certainly not true in the case of Eov, because the Satan asked for permission to do all these things, and Hashem gives permission. This seems much more active than passive. And finally, you can say, is Hashem loving? And hopefully, through the coming weeks, we can maybe. By the way, there are those philosophers who say Hashem is not loving. Right? Hashem does exist, but he's not loving because he doesn't take control. He doesn't step in when needed. There are those who say that Hashem is loving but not all powerful. I believe there's a book titled "Why Do Things Happen to Good People," which he concludes that God is all loving but not all powerful, which is shocking because he's not really God then, right? He's not. We don't believe in the gods and some kind of battle between God and Satan, right? We don't. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is all powerful. He's total control, and therefore, obviously in Judaism, we're going to absolutely reject that idea. And the question is there anything more satisfactory than this is beyond your understanding? Is there anything more? Maybe is there something? Is there something that the Torah speaks about that can help us understand suffering in a meaningful way? And hopefully that's the direction we're going in, to develop this idea and to hopefully deepen our own lives and find a place where we feel solid, we feel confident in our emunah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us, and we can have some kind of appreciation, some kind of understanding of why the world is so challenging. Okay, any questions? Feel free to WhatsApp them in, voice note / text. So the prakim that we quoted from Eov was Perek Aleph and Perek Lamed Ches. In Perek Aleph, Eov stands in Emunah and Bitochen and Emunah Pshuta, and he just says, Hashem Natan, Hashem Lakach. These are, by the way, the psukim that we say at a funeral. Hashem is given, Hashem is taken, and Hashem should be blessed forever. And that's much more of the Makabel. In Perek Lamed Chet, right, 38, Eov turns around and says, how can this be? He challenges Hashem. And Hashem answers him, this is really beyond your understanding. This, where were you when I founded the heavens and the earth? Where were you when? Do you understand how to balance the cosmos? This is really just simply beyond you. And the question is there a third option? You can have emunah pshuta, you can be pushed into submission of, right, it's beyond me. Or is there a place where we can have a bit of appreciation, a bit of understanding as to how to approach this whole topic? Okay. If there's no other questions, we're gonna pause here for today. Next week, we're going to begin with a Makoros in the Gemara, discussing when you see someone else suffering or you see yourself suffering, what should be your reaction? How should you react to that? Should you react with judgment on yourself or on others? Should you react with, well, suffering's beyond me anyway, so I guess it's all meaningless? And maybe that's the most dangerous thing, which is if you end up with emunah pshuta that's so pashut that life is what it is, and I don't understand, and I guess I'll suffer when I suffer, then life can be very hollow and empty. And more importantly, maybe Hashem is sending us messages and we're ignoring them. And therefore, the correct reaction to suffering could be a good place to begin. We'll begin in Bav Metzia and Brachas next week. Okay? We'll end the post here.